Listen, I've only seen two Godzilla movies all of the way through from start to finish. Godzilla vs. Mothra, which kickstarted my love for these characters, and Godzilla King of the Monsters last weekend, which made me remember what makes these movies so special to me. I've also watched Kong Skull Island and half of Godzilla 2000, which is actually from 1999, and half of Godzilla from 2014. To many, these seems like cheese fests that only consist of big, spicy, and sometimes goofy monster fights in the same vein as Rampage or The Meg. And while in many cases this is true, it's also what makes them special. The original Godzilla film from 1954, originally called Gojira in Japan, was about the big lizard that attacks Japan while providing post-war commentary on the threat of nuclear weapons. A few movies down the line, not only about Godzilla but other insane movie monsters were made. Toho, the company behind most of these flicks, realized the financial potential behind making these characters duke it out on screen, which led to what many associate with the franchise today. I think I should start with explaining some of the monsters, kaiju, titans, whatever you want to call them, just in case you aren't totes aware of some of them. The first and most obvious one is Godzilla. His design has remained relatively consistent throughout the years, and he is an icon of cinema. He's an enormous ancient lizard with tough skin that makes him invulnerable to most man-made weapons. He lives underwater for the most part in some movies, and he has iconic fins on his back, and one of his most recognizable attacks is his atomic breath. He has also pulled off flying and a flying dropkick, but that's not important. Next up is the second most iconic kaiju, Mothra. She hatches into a larvae, where she usually rams into things, or she can spit sticky bug stuff in King of the Monsters, kind of like Spider-Man's webs. When she cocoons and comes out as the more recognizable Mothra look, she can shoot lasers from her antenna and fly into things. She tends to be on the side of mankind, and in King of the Monsters, she gets another upgrade with the addition of pointy legs. She's my favorite of the monsters, and all I want is a Mothra movie in Warner Bros.' new universe of films. King Ghidorah. This is Godzilla's arch nemesis. It's a dragon that has 3 heads, creates storms, and can harness and fire electricity. It doesn't have any arms, but it does have 2 mighty tails for what it's worth. It's also from space, and it's almost always against Earth and its residents. Rodan is a big pterodactyl-like monster with lava and fire leaking from its body, at least in the newest film. And there's not much more to this guy, he's usually a villain. The next few are just some minor ones I don't want to leave out. Kong isn't usually in any of these, but he's in Godzilla vs. Kong next year, so I figured I'd throw him in. He's a big gorilla, smart boy, handsome boy. The Muto are in the 2014 Godzilla. The males can fly, but the females are much larger. Minilla is Godzilla's son. He can also do a vape trick, it would seem. Jet Jaguar. This character has no reason to exist, but boy does he. I have no idea what to say about him. He's a big robot man. What else do you want? Now on to the good stuff. I want to talk about Godzilla vs. Mothra from '92, not to be confused with Mothra vs. Godzilla from '64. In this movie we see Mothra in her larval form and actual moth form. She ends up fighting Godzilla, and it also has the inclusion of Batra, Mothra's evil twin. Fun fact, according to the Gojipedia, Batra is also sometimes called Black Mothra. Yeah, there is a lot of monster fighting, but that's what makes these movies so great. When I watched this, it was with 2 other friends of mine, and it was an absolute blast. You see, these monsters are in fact characters, with their own set of strengths, weaknesses, and motivations. You can watch these epic battles and you root for specific characters over others. You might not see these monsters any different than the ones from, say, Rampage, but personally, I don't care about the monsters from Rampage. They aren't unique or interesting, they're just animals. Sure, you can sit back and enjoy the fighting in Rampage just like the Godzilla films, but I find so much more investment in the Toho movies, no matter how cheesy, no matter how good or bad the effects are. Regardless of the dubbing being laughable at times, I watch it for the characters that are fighting and the interesting ways that they can battle. It's escapism, and not the same way that I could get lost in a movie like Isle of Dogs or La La Land, both great movies, but in a way that makes me still feel somehow that I believe that these creatures could really exist, as they're so fully realized. It brings me and the friends I watch these with closer together, and sometimes you just get a good movie. King of the Monsters is a modern and grounded reimagining of these iconic characters, and it works so well. Say what you will about the human characters, but I really like them. They're not perfect, but you know who are? The monsters. Godzilla, Mothra, King Ghidorah, and Rodan all get really cool moments that provide for breathtaking action. I wasn't annoyed by the fighting, mostly taking place at night like some were, because I was so happy to see these characters duking it out in ways that I could never imagine I'd get to see at this scale. I think the director put it best when he said, "If you're a Godzilla fan, you'll love it. If you're not, you will be." I was going to do a review on this movie, but I think I've already talked about it as much as I need to. I'm giving Godzilla King of the Monsters a 9 out of 10 because it is special. These movies are special, these monsters are special, and these experiences are special. So experience them with someone else. Experience them with someone close to you because they're the only ones who are going to have fun with it just as much as you will. And trust me, I saw Ugly Dolls in the theater by myself. I know what it's like to have regrets. And if there's a Ferris wheel in the background, you can bet your bottom dollar that their Ferris wheel is gonna be used against one of those boys.